But in case you haven't, we are going to explore it together. Before we get started today, I want to remind everybody about our wonderfully newly announced courses that we'll be doing at SCA Expo. Not specifically at the Expo, but they're satellite events to the Expo, and they will be taking place on April 22nd and 23rd. 3 events over 1.5 days, and you can check all the details out at mapperforward.org/events. Just a reminder that next week, the Daily Coffee Pro is going to be taken over by the illustrious Ann Cooper. She's going to be talking to you about away from the cooling tray, and she's got some wonderful things that she's going to be imparting on you, so it's very exciting. The first Daily Coffee Pro takeover for this year or ever, and it's going to be happening more often as the year progresses with different coffee professionals from around the world. I'm very excited to be able to highlight such esteemed people and their knowledge through this podcast, and it's a real privilege and an honor to be able to do so. So, sales funnel. What is a sales funnel? Now, a sales funnel is a part of your overall sales strategy. Now, the way to think of a sales funnel is the path that people take from the time that they visit your store to the time that they buy from your store. So this applies brick and mortar as well as online. And we're going to specifically talk about an online marketing funnel. But to give you some context that may be helpful if you need an analogy in the physical world, think of it this way. Someone walks into your store and they are alerted to your brand. They walk into your store. They start browsing around, checking out your products, and then they notice a sales rack. They start flicking through. The sales assistant comes to them and says, "Hey, did you know that this is our discount rack? And all the coffee that's here needs to, it's on sale. And so if you buy 2 or 3 bags, if you buy 3 bags of coffee, you'll get the 4th bag for free." And then the person heads to the front counter, goes to pay for their coffee, and then the sales assistant says, "By the way, if you buy, let's say, if you purchase a mug with that, we will fill that mug for free from our batch brew coffee." And then the person decides to take that mug, you fill it up for them, they pay for everything. All of that from the time they recognize your brand to the time that they purchased, that is considered a sales funnel. So why is this important? Why do you need to understand what this is? Your sales funnel helps you understand all the different steps that people can take to convert from a person who recognizes your brand to a person who purchases, not just once, but multiple times. So how can you recreate that funnel that can then streamline the way that you convert customers to being paying customers? So you want to convert potential customers to paying customers. Now, having understood what your sales funnel is means, and this is the really important part about it, that you can then go and find the holes where people drop off from your sales funnel. So to use the brick and mortar example again, so someone recognizes the store and they come in and they realize, I want to buy coffee, but I don't understand any of this coffee, this specialty coffee. What makes it so special? So they get intimidated and they walk away. Now, if you understand that sales funnel, what that means is that one of your baristas or one of the floor staff can keep an eye out for noticing the people that are walking through the door, perusing the coffee section, the retail coffee section, and they know to walk up there and talk to that person before they leave so that they can see if they can help them. That plugs a potential hole, because if that person leaves, you've lost the potential for a sale. What you want to be able to do is to recognize that, capture them while they have their interest, and keep them moving along through your sales funnel. So that's the basics of a sales funnel. Now what we want to do is we want to talk about the specifics of what a sales funnel is. And now a sales funnel has 4 fundamental parts, and there is an acronym that you can use for a sales to remember that. It's AIDA, as in the musical. AIDA stands for awareness, interest, decision, and action. So everything that we're talking about with the analogy with the brick and mortar example is 100% translatable to your online sales store. And earlier this week, we spoke about your digital real estate, we spoke about your digital assets, and we spoke a little bit about marketing in previous parts of the Daily Coffee Pro. All of that's going to come together here. And so let's explore AIDA, or your sales funnel, a little better. Let's talk about awareness. Now, number 1, awareness is where you capture somebody's attention. This is where your digital assets are incredibly helpful. Your digital assets will help get people's attention. When you have people's attention, you are getting them to take notice. But you need the right people to take notice. So if somebody is looking, for example's sake, to take notice of a brand that is expensive, if you have photos and videos that are super cheap quality and don't look any good, you're not going to capture their attention. And that's what's important in the first step of a sales funnel. How do I capture the attention of someone who is a potential customer? And excuse me. Once you have captured that person's attention, the next step in your sales funnel is to pique their interest. So once you've got someone's attention, you've got a very short span of converting that attention into interest. Because when someone's interested in you, they've moved from noticing you to being interested in you, then they're doing research, they're asking questions, they're curious about what you're doing. Your job is to take someone from being interested to being curious about what you do so that they want to know more. That's where your other digital assets, other than your photos, will come in. So what's your story? How are you telling that story through your digital assets on your real estate? Now, the next step from that, once you have captured their attention, you've piqued their curiosity and they're interested in what you've got to offer, then you need to give them the opportunity to make the decision to buy. And that's where a call to action is important. And that's the decision stage of your sales funnel. Excuse me. So once they're curious, they'll turn into, you have to ask them. There needs to be a call to action. Do you want to buy? Make them an offer. Give them a call to action. Once they have taken this step and they've decided to buy, that's when we go to the last step in our sales funnel, which is action. And in that situation, you get your potential customer, who is almost a converted customer, to take action on their decision to buy. So the difference between step 3 and step 4 is if somebody were to purchase, so click on a product to buy from your store, but they don't end up following through with the sale, And there are mechanisms in place through your website that can send them an email that says, so this is like what we call abandoned cart emails. So if someone has abandoned their cart, they've got all the way to the decision stage of the sales funnel, perhaps curiosity. I mean, if somebody's curious about the pricing, they won't typically click on purchasing. They've usually transitioned to the third step. Once they've clicked on that, if they don't then convert to sales, there's the final hole there. So it's usually an issue with shipping costs, or you don't ship to their country, or whatever it is. But going from clicking on purchase to putting in their credit card details and clicking the final button that says pay, that's when they're a converted customer. But your sales funnel, while it's technically finished, it's not really finished, because getting one sale is just the first of your challenges. What you want to do is then convert them to a repeat customer. And that's where subscription services online come into play, and retargeted marketing and all that kind of stuff. So as you can see, this is a very deliberate, strategic approach to the idea of having an online store. And having your online store means you're going to have to consider, okay, how am I going to pique the awareness of my potential customers, bearing in mind that you've already gone through the stages of building your concept and your brand and your culture. You have your digital assets. You're going to use all of that stuff to then turn around and say, all right, so how am I going to, now that I know who my customers are, how am I going to get their attention? Once I have their attention, how am I going to pique their interest? How am I going to get the curiosity juices flowing? And then once I've done that, how am I going to get them to decide that they want to buy? And once I've got them to make the decision, how can I then convert them to actually make the sale and keep buying and build brand loyalty and upsell and do all that kind of stuff? So this is the stuff that is easily learnable once you start paying attention to it, and it can actually get really fun. But knowing that you need to know it is a whole different beast. I hope this has been really helpful, friends. Tomorrow we will cover analytics. So stay tuned, and don't forget, head to mapperforward.org/events to check out the event. And while I've got you, if you are here watching via video on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're listening, please hit subscribe on your podcast apps. And if you're watching on Instagram, please make sure that you're following us, and Facebook, same thing. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.